Hello, rodeo fans. Welcome back to the Short Round Podcast. Been a hot minute, but we are locked and loaded for episode 49 of the official podcast of the Canadian Professional Rodeo Association. I'm your host, Wacey Anderson, and as always, joined by my friend Clay Creasy. Clay, it's been a few weeks since we last chatted, but that's just the way she goes sometimes. But it's we're kind of getting into the thick of what's going to be the busiest portion of the 2026 Canadian Pro Rodeo season.
And I know we've talked about this in past years where
Mhm.
it's kind of like that anticipation's building,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, it's almost here, right? We're
Mhm.
getting there. And then you kind of get to that first big weekend, that end of May, beginning of June, where you start to see multiple rodeos
Oh
in a
yeah.
weekend, and things really start rolling. But it's still great rodeo, right? It's still awesome events, and I think just even the fact that there is just a couple of them, you get that ability to kind of look at them a little bit more and everything. So yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's
it's
still
hot.
rodeo and
It's heating up. It's gonna be awesome.
yeah.
We got yeah, Falkland's coming up this weekend, and like you say, that first big weekend of the year's coming up end of May with Leduc, Grand Prairie, Hand Hills, and all the fun stuff coming our way in June. But anyways, we'll get into that a little bit later. But kind of let's jump back to some news and results that we didn't get to since we haven't talked in a while. So last weekend, the Cold Lake had their second, or in Cold Lake, they had their second annual Extreme Broncs and Bulls, which the bronc riding was CPRA approved, the bull riding was not. But it's turning into quite the event. They're turning out some big rides up there in Old Cold Lake. Zeke Thurston swept the board, which is the second time out of 2 years that the same rider who won the long round has won the short course. So that's a good sign up there in Cold Lake, and good to see Zeke at the top of the leaderboard.
They got a strong group up there. Cold Lake's put on a lot of good rodeo events for a
Mhm.
long time. They kind of, yeah, they might fluctuate in what type of event they put on. They're always trying to put on something maybe a little different and seeing what works, what they might get a little bit more action with. And it seems like, yeah, these events really kind of catching on, and awesome to see that it was CPRA approved this year.
Yeah.
And yeah, having the C5 rodeo company just right next door there in Lac La Biche, and everything like that, and getting some more partners in there. There's a lot of credibility there, and
Mhm.
and adding that CPRA connection. We've seen these Extreme Bronx events that are approved have really taken off,
Yeah.
and this is just another example of that taking place there. So kudos to that crew, and yeah, obviously great job from Zeke and a lot of those Bronc riders. There's a lot of good
Good
rides. It's a
rides.
tough
Yeah.
event to win. It's not like they just handed it to Zeke. He
Mhm.
he had to earn it, and everybody else was trying to keep it from him.
Yeah, it's we talk about the Bronco Riding a lot, and just how competitive it's gotten, and the degree of the margin that separates all these guys is so razor thin. So yeah, it's good to see an event like that kind of taking off and getting the content. I think that's part of the battle with any of these events is you can put all the time and effort in production and all the stuff you want to do, but if you don't get the content, just doesn't really have the same jam as some of those places. So good to see you up there in Cold Lake, and I guess kind of looking back a few weeks, like we had another Bronc match up there in Barule, and another sweep across the board. Leighton Green, who looks like he's making a push to the Canadian title. He's kind of been just I don't want to use the word coasting, but just kind of been hanging around the last few years. Like wins a round or two at the Canadian finals, comes in mid to top five, and just chips away and has a good season. But it looks like he's raring to go and looking to have a big 2026.
And kudos to Barb, her kind of recap when she
Hmm.
was talking about that event. It talked about how a part of the issue Leighton's been fighting some injuries,
Hmm. Hmm.
and it spoke about he had even mentioned, and a guy never wants to use that as an excuse,
No,
but
no.
I mean fighting some of those injuries that really just kind of take that, and I mean the margins are so thin anymore that any little disadvantage is just gonna push you down there, and I mean yeah, he's rode so well for so long. I mean uh I mentioned in a past episode how, I mean, Clay Elliott was a guy that kept Zeke from winning a Canadian title for a while. Well, Leighton Green got one before Zeke did also,
Right.
and
Yeah.
and battled it out, and I mean he's a Canadian champion. He's a NFR qualifier. he is somebody that you don't want to just sleep on that guy
No,
because
no,
he's gonna
and
come
he is
for
a
it.
sleeper, like you say. Like he just kind of goes about his business, chips away, makes solid rides. He has the ability to put those big scores on the board, and this is not to saying that he doesn't, but yeah, he's definitely one of those guys that just kind of flies under the radar as one, and maybe could be he's going to be one of the veterans of the group of guys, so maybe just doesn't have that rookie pop anymore, I guess. But yeah, he's one of those guys that he's always a threat to win, and like we just mentioned, he's looking to have a big 2026 and push Zeke to knock him off the Canadian bronc riding throne. Um, we also had the Drayton Valley Pro Rodeo. We don't need to go too deep into the results here, Clay, because I'm sure everybody's seen it by now. But interesting to see some big bareback rides up there in Drayton Valley. Sam Peterson putting up an 88, and then Ty Tapatat getting the win with an 89. So talking about veterans who can still put up big scores, Ty is making some moves and just showing that he still got what it takes to be a top caliber bareback rider.
Well, and that's the big thing for Canadian Pro Rodeo. We need
Mhm.
those veterans to
Yeah.
keep going, and it's great to see them getting those hits like that, getting those opportunities to show they're still here, they're still going. I mean that 901 misdemeanor of Duffy's there, that
Mhm.
horse had a really cool trip, really a lot of action and bailing in the air
Mhm.
and kind of that rearing on the back end and then breaking over kind of thing was really good. And I mean Ty was just able to show that yeah, he's still here, he's still going at it
Still got it.
and everything.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be fun. Yeah, he's looks like he's healthy and back to where he wants to be, which we know for the bareback riding is such a huge part of it. So, it'll be interesting to see how things shake out for old Ty this year. All right, where does that take us to next, Clay? Oh yeah, I guess another big news in the CPRA. We want to congratulate Chance Butterfield on being elected the new president of the board. Um, yeah, I think both candidates were very well suited for the job and excited for Chance to get him in there. And I think I talked about this before with other folks, but just having a person in there that knows rodeo and been part of it for so long and has a bit of a business background as well, I think that just really is going to elevate how things operate with the board. It's just going to be a good deal all around having him in there in the mix.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Chance has been all over the sport. I still believe some of his Facebook and
Oh
social media
yeah.
posts are of a level that I could only ever aspire to reach. Um,
Yeah.
the,
He kind of
the
made
ev
himself into into a little bit of like a Facebook meme god, I
oh,
guess, there for a while, eh?
yeah, 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 he just and knowing him and Kenda since gosh, since they met in high school rodeo and everything and just seeing, I mean, yeah, he's a guy that's been through some adversity
Hmm.
career-wise, rodeo-wise. I mean, shoot, there was the fireworks accident there when went to go
Yeah.
try and look
Yeah.
after his horses and I mean, almost wasn't any around anymore.
Yeah. Crazy,
And
man.
uh, and so yeah, he's a guy that he's seen a lot, knows a lot about the sport,
Mhm.
and I know yeah, Brady Howes is the same thing. I mean, she's been a rodeo lifer, a
Yeah.
multi-generation rodeo contestant that has a passion for the sport as well. Both of them do, right?
Hmm.
And when it comes down to it, it's always hard when obviously somebody has to win, somebody has to lose, and I mean the goal of it is always to have good people working together for the good of the sport and to build what we have.
Hmm.
So that's the biggest thing is now it's where do you go from there? What do you do? How do you support what the crew that's already here in the
Hmm.
office and in the board and in the negotiations of things that have been carrying on or that are they're needing to be dealt with. So it's yeah, it's business is on now.
Yeah, yeah, it'll be good. It's exciting times, and we like you say, it'd be exciting to see kind of where he steers the ship, and it works out well. It's kind of a good lead in, Clay, because he is our guest this week on the show, and I got to sit down and have a quick chat with Chance and talk a bit about how excited he is for the role, and then even get into some of his rodeo stories, and we talk about that moment up in High Prairie there we almost didn't have a chance Butterfield around, but it was a good interview and happy you took the time to sit with us. And it's a good time now to throw it there, and we'll jump right back in after this. Welcome back to the short round, everyone. This week, I am pleased to be joined by the newly appointed president of the Canadian Professional Rodeo Association Board, Chance Butterfield, also a CFR steerer, so we can't leave that out. You're not just part of the board. You've done the thing and been boots on the ground. But yeah, man, congratulations and welcome to everything we got going on over here.
Oh, thank you very much, Wacey. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, so let's kind of talk a little bit about your decision to throw your name in the hat and how excited you were or what the feeling was when you found out that you'd won the position or were voted in the position.
Well, the decision was made. I guess I should rewind a little bit. I've been on the CPRA board before
Hmm.
and was able to work with actually a lot of the same people that are involved here today. And then I left the board, decided to focus on rodeo in my professional career. And then this opportunity came up, and I thought there was I thought it was a good time for me to step in. I have some ideas and I think some skill sets that will support the good things that the CPRA is currently doing and try and fill the gaps on some areas where I think we might be able to do better and try and hopefully implement a long-term strat plan for the organization when my term is done. I'd like the environment to be set for the future president and future board members to be able to step in and have some success here moving forward.
Yeah, and I think yeah, you kind of touched on it before we started recording here, just that continuity and kind of creating a that long-term plan. I think that's I mean, that's it's easy to get nearsighted in the rodeo world and get all jacked up over what's happening in the here and now, which I think you have to be present, but also thinking about the future and how things look overall for the association and the CFR, everything ahead. That's an important piece of the puzzle for someone in your role.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. I do think the board the board has to deal with a lot on a day-to-day basis because the sport is complex to say the least, and we out of the constituency that we have in the CPRA, there's everybody's got a stake. I think the things that tie us together, those things are big, and that's where we find a lot of common ground. But there's a lot of separate interests in the sport. We need to make sure that they're all addressed. But I think that we could do this in a way that when we put our strat plan, put our objectives in place, I think we're going to be able to, really drive this association together, grow our brand, and be able to bring everybody along with us in the process. And that's the overarching goal of what I'm trying to implement here.
Well, and it's kind of an interesting time in the rodeo world, I feel like, in the Western sports or the Western industry in general. Like, it's there's so many more eyes on it. You're seeing bigger events happening and more kind of dip. I hate the mainstream or like we're trying to hit the mainstream or whatever. Like I feel like you're getting more attention from the outside of the inner circle. I would say it's more that way. But I mean, I'll kind of wrap it up here in the sense of like it's kind of an exciting time. There's lots of opportunity on the horizon. There's more money being coming available to contestants and committees and sponsorship dollars wise. So like how is that motivating to you to kind of be in like kind of the next golden era of rodeo, if we want to call it that?
Well, and I do think we are in one. If you take a look at the approvals that we have, the new rodeos that have come on board here the last few years, and the existing rodeos that we have, like the prize money has gone up
Mhm.
substantially. The rodeos, they've been achieving financial success in their own right. And so the sport as a whole, like everything's going in the direction that we want to see it going. The rodeos are successful, the purse is going up, people are getting paid more, which is good because obviously, I mean, even in the short term, fuel prices have gone up.
Right,
All of
yeah.
our input prices or all of our input costs have gone up substantially, whether it be horse flesh, trucks, uh, fuel, everything. And so it's good to see these rodeos. They're really investing in it. They're looking out for the cowboys. And you take a look at, obviously I'm biased. I'm a Pinoca boy, but I take a look at Pinoca and what they've done with their marketing campaign here over the last few years. It's been phenomenal. And I've got people that I know that have never been to a rodeo, but they want to go to, say, Falkland Stampede. And there's a variety of different rodeos like that. Like TP Creek has done a great job of strengthening its brand. Williams Lake, Buffalo Lake, like phenomenal success for being a rodeo for, I think it's been 4 years or less.
Yeah.
And now it's one of our largest tour rodeos.
Yeah.
So it's been good. The athletes, they've really invested themselves. Like it's all around, the sport has just evolved, and I think we just need to really capitalize on the momentum that we have right now. And that's our responsibility as a CPRA. Like, these rodeos are doing their all. Now we need to make sure that we support them, and we grow the brand of the CPRA, and yeah, move forward into the future.
How much do you think what you've done inside the arena and being one, like, and not saying you're the first president to ever be a former contestant or whatever, but like, it's got to be a huge helping hand just having been in the trenches and been going down the road and competing in all these events and just kind of seeing it from both sides of the coin, I guess. It's got to be super helpful as you step in here.
Well, it's good. Like, I think, I'm not saying that somebody needs to rodeo to do good in this position that I'm in, but I will say that somebody that's rodeoed, like, I just turned 40. I'm getting pretty long in the tooth for cowboy years. But you've lived it. You've seen a lot of the successes that we've had, and then you've seen some of the pinch points that we've run into, either as athletes or, we've spoken to contractors, we've spoken to committees, what their stress points are. So from a rodeo standpoint, you've got a pretty well-rounded perspective. Not saying that I know everything, but I've got a decent grasp on some of the things that people think that we need, and the things that I personally see that we need to implement here moving forward. So it definitely gives you a good perspective to be able to sit in this position and at least be a guiding voice in those conversations on where we're going to go.
Yeah, for sure, man. I think it's gonna be a good. I'm excited to see what happens over the next little while and see once you start having these conversations and, excuse me, implementing these new strategies. It's going to be interesting to see which way you steer the ship. I'm really excited for it. But we'll be able to talk more about this down the road. But I kind of want to, I don't want to glance over your rodeo career and what you've accomplished. You have some really cool stories that I've been fortunate enough to know you for a few years now. But I just want to talk about your career a little bit. So I guess starting off at this point, like you said, you just turned 40. Are you thinking you're going to want to keep going a little bit, or are you going to put it on pause right now, or what's that look like over the next little while?
Well, to be honest, I think this position probably would have worked better when I was retired from the sport. And I wasn't too sure here after last year if I was going to be able to compete this year. As far as performance goes, I can honestly objectively say that I'm not really lacking anything there, but the injuries have caught up over time. And out of all the ones that I've had some severe ones, but my shoulder has probably been the one that's plagued me the most since 2019. I think I probably would have preferred to blow out both my knees over a shoulder dislocation.
Yeah.
But
it's such an important piece of the puzzle, your shoulders, hey? Like,
oh, it is something. And if you've ever had them, if you're in a sport where you expose yourself, they go out so easy, and you only have so many surgeries to do. So last fall, I thought that was going to be it for me, and this is going to call it a career. But spoke to the surgeon and my trainers, and they actually think that I'm good to go.
Nice.
One more time. This, knock on wood, I'm not going to have another shoulder injury, and I'm going to try and prevent that every corner that I can. But if I do have another shoulder injury, then this will be my last surgery. So that'll be it for me, but I hope it doesn't come to that.
Yeah, shoot. Hopefully you can keep her going. But let's jump back to early in your career. Like, obviously the Butterfield name is synonymous with Canadian rodeo, and it kind of carries a kind of a great amount of prestige with it. So, but like, when did you start getting into rodeo? Did you always wanted to be a steer wrestler? What did that look like early on?
Yeah, I think well, back when I was young, we had a custom feedlot and about 700 cow-calf pairs. So as soon as I could walk, I was riding horses, and as soon as I was riding horses, Mom and dad had me in Pee Wee rodeos, so doing all that fun stuff. And yeah, just watching my dad. I had the privilege of watching my parents compete at the CFR, year after year. And so I got to see that experience. And for better or worse, I think that was just something that was just center in my mind. That's what I wanted to do and what I wanted to be involved with. So as soon as I got old enough, started riding steers and cracked out steer wrestling full on probably when I was about 14 years old. Did that, rode some broncs for a little while. Through high school rodeo, went down to college down in Texas at Texas Tech University, college rodeoed for them, and filled my pro card when I was going to university and at Rodeo Royal back when I was in Calgary.
Nice. That's a blast.
Yeah, so it never was a question in my mind. Like I said, I've got with my grandfather, his brothers, my direct family, uncle, cousins, everybody was involved with it. So, you grew up with a village of heroes, people that you looked up to, and it was definitely a great place to get started, and you had all the support and expertise behind you.
Was there ever any added pressure like on yourself just with carrying that kind of, you said you had that village of heroes, like trying to live up to the name, I guess is where I'm going. Like,
You know,
yeah.
yeah, I think there's always that little bit of, like, if you reflect on it, you take a look at the amount of back numbers my dad and my mom got on the wall, like um I won't be able to meet that threshold that they set. But to be honest with you, ever since I was a kid, my dad did a good job. My mom did a good job making sure that I wasn't in their shadow. And I've always had my own path that I walked in this sport and never, like, I always respected and admired what my family has done, my direct family and my extended.
Mhm.
But I never really did compare myself to them. It was my journey, and the successes and the losses were all mine to own. So that never really did bother me. And
Yeah.
um, yeah, I'm grateful for that because I never put that added pressure on myself.
Yeah, it's a good way to approach it because I think it'd be so easy to fall into that trap, and then you start playing the poor me or the why me type card, and that's no way to be successful. You touched on your education. That's one thing I want to talk to you about because there's like, again, we were kind of talking about it before we started recording here, but there's not like I think you're seeing a little bit more, but there's so many kids who go down to the US, they go to junior college, they maybe get their whatever ticket, whatever, which is fine. I mean, it's not does not how often you don't everybody doesn't need a college degree to be successful, but just how much has that played into you said your journey and been helpful, and how much can you emphasize on how much that's helped you outside of what you do in rodeo?
Well, yeah, that was so yeah, I went down. Well, I started at South Plains College in Levelland, Texas,
Yeah.
started JUCO for about 2 years, changed major about halfway through. Well, actually, I think I changed it after my first year, so I had to stay an extra year, but I was down there for 5. Studied agricultural sciences and natural resources at the College of Agricultural Sciences through Texas Tech. And it was a really good program. Uh, I liked it, learned a lot there, and it set me up for my professional career. And that's kind of where, I was ready to start a life up here in Canada. I went down to the States a little bit, but I started a career early. And yeah, that going to school down there set me up. And I mean, I don't pass any judgment on guys that just go down there and rodeo. Like, it's a hell of an opportunity to go down there and in college rodeo have regimented practices and you get in a good school, it's a good deal. But there's a lot of guys that went down there, and education was just as important as rodeo. Like, I think about Luke Butterfield, Morgan Grant, those guys both came out with petroleum engineering degrees. One of my really good friends, Jeremy Criken, he got an engineering degree down there too on a rodeo scholarship. So there's quite a few of us that went down there and really just took that opportunity. And but yeah, it set me up for a really good um, professional career outside of rodeo, which also supplemented my rodeo career, which was
That's a big
fantastic.
part of it too, yeah.
Yeah.
And like that kind of goes back to the conversation about how much the money and stuff has changed. Like early on in your career, like could you ever like look back and just think about how little you guys were competing for? Obviously, it's a different world. whatever, 10, 15 years ago. But yeah, do you kind of reflect on that a little bit, just how far, like we kind of touched on it a little bit, but like how far it's come. Like you can make a pretty damn good living just rodeoing in Canada. You don't have to work
Yeah,
quite
like
as hard.
rodeo up in Canada pays good. Like our money's gone up, but it's kind of funny. Because back when input costs were low, we
Hmm.
had a lot more guys going down the
Right.
road.
Yeah, yeah.
So when you have that, you have more entry fees, you have a bigger purse. So a lot of those rodeos actually paid damn good back in the early 2000s. And once an input cost started getting, a little bit more now, you started cutting down on, I don't mean this like, I don't mean this disrespectfully or anything like that, but the guys that just kind of like, they had a passion for it, but it wasn't, what they really were driven to do.
Mhm.
And so a lot of those guys dropped out just because, obviously, financially, it's an expensive sport if you're not winning. And I cast no judgment on that. And so now you've got the people that are rodeoing now are the guys that are they're in it they're in it for the long haul. Like they're dedicated to it. Now entries are down, but now our entry or then now our purses are up at our rodeos because of the added money that they've had. So the payout is better, but when we had a lot of entries back in the day,
Yeah.
like Innisfail used to have 140 bulldoggers at it. Wainwright used to have 130. Um, but yeah, so I would say we're still up on what guys can take home. That's for sure, because we just got a lot more better paying rodeos. There's hardly any. We used to have a bunch around 1,500 added. Now that's a rarity. And, obviously the rodeos that have come on that have 1,500, we love them here. But yeah, everybody's been actively trying to increase those purses and it's helped out a lot.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Like, what do you like? I mean, there's no probably no golden answer to it all, but like with your contestant hat on, like, how does a person navigate the rodeo world nowadays? Like you said, it's almost $2 a liter for fuel. No, let alone like diesel is probably more than that. I don't really keep an eye on because I drive a gas truck. But anyways, how do you navigate that from like a rodeo contestant perspective? Like, I mean, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be a harder summer for everybody just with that, just
It
with that on the table.
It is like the one thing that I think just crosses both ends of the arena. It's you better be on the top of your game and you better give yourself the best statistical advantage to win that you possibly can have. For the time event side, our input costs are many multiples, the rough stock side. So just getting down the road, and getting to rodeos, keeping your horses fed, making sure that, you're spending time at the vet, making sure those horses are feeling good, all that stuff stacks up. So, there's more guys in crews going down the road, splitting fuel costs. I mean, which is the way that bulldoggers like it.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, maybe that might not see too many barrel racers going down the
I
road
was
by
gonna, I
themselves
was gonna
anymore.
say.
So they might have to get along.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I
Next
say
thing you know,
that.
you see five barrel racers hop out of the truck.
Yeah, yeah, no, yeah, that'll be something. Times have changed when they see four of them on a card. But I say that jokingly, but kind of not.
But it's crazy because the barrel racing is like one of the best, like most highest entered events. It's like still like it's wild to me how much even like, and then I say smaller with no malice, but like Coleman's and Tabor's and all these smaller rodeos, they're still paying out like 3,500 4 grand to win the barrel racing, which is crazy.
Yeah, and I mean their splits go a lot deeper too. Like they
Yeah.
pay out more holes than the rest of us as well. Which is the benefit of having many entries in a bigger pool too. So yeah, like the barrel racing industry, like it's an industry of its own too. That
Yeah.
sucker, it would survive without rodeo at
Mhm.
the end of the day. It's kind of like team roping or bull riding, right? But yeah, the girls like they're investing in horse flesh. Like the price on a good barrel horse right now to be competitive and the pros, like you better either have a good wallet or you better be a hell of a trainer.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's good to see so many women involved in that and the numbers, growing year over year. It's good to see.
Yeah, it's wild, man. I wanted to ask you that I just thought of this. What'd you think of that Extreme Bulldoggers event down south? That's pretty cool to have like a standalone PRCA approved like steer wrestling event, hey?
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if we got one up here in Canada at
Yeah.
some point in time. Like
Yeah,
we
there's
have
enough.
rules and regulations around the special events up here,
Okay.
but kind of be the same down in the PRCA. They've got guidelines around it too, but I know there's been a lot of interest for us to get one. We do have some phenomenal bulldog and jackpots up here in Canada.
Yeah, exactly.
Like say the Hoover Hayes is going to be
Yeah.
on here right away, and that is probably the funnest time. If you haven't been to it, it's definitely one to take in. But I've had it on my radar, likely when I'm finished this position, I want to try and get a CPRA approved, possibly PRC approved standalone event for the Bulldoggers. It's good. I think it's a good opportunity.
And you actually see what it's done for the bronc riding. Like they're like the amount of money those guys are winning on both sides of the line now because of those. It's just it's out of this world. It's pretty cool to see.
Yeah.
So okay, you have like probably one of the craziest traveling rodeo stories that I've ever heard. I guess I can't remember exactly how many years ago, but you can dive into it a little further. But you had a wreck in TP Creek and you got airlifted and you basically died on the way, but they were able to get you back to where you needed to be. But I'll let you. I don't remember all the details. And I'll let you tell the story, but it blows my mind every time I hear it. So I'm excited to hear it again.
Yeah, I was actually, well, I was up in Peace Country, same as TP Creek, but it's high prairie. I
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah.
remember I had the CFR locked in after placing second at Edmonton and winning good at Morris the weekend before or 2 weeks before. And I didn't really need to go up, but I was sitting, I think, like second or third in the standings. And I figured, shoot, might as well try and take a wild run at it and get season leader. And yeah, I popped in there late at night for the slack the next day, and the place was packed. People were still moving out from the perf, so I had to just kind of park in there and tie the horse up next to Cody Cassidy's rig, and just wanted to wait until people got out so I could build a pen for the horse. And some fireworks went off. Things got crazy. Another horse got loose. Broadsided my mare one time when she was tethered to the fence, and then chased that horse off. It went about 20 yards, turned around, came back towards my horse, and she went to kick that mare, and she ended up catching me in the chest and kicking me across the ditch, which I will commend her. She was a hell of an athlete because she did send me. And when I hit, yeah, I knew something was wrong, but luckily I had some buddies there and they called 911 right away, and the ambulance made its way in there and got me back to the High Prairie Hospital. I knew I was in bad shape and I knew the gravity of the situation. I guess I'll say that. So made my peace with God, and yeah, next thing I know, I was going into a CT machine to get some imaging done, see where I was bleeding out internally. And yeah, when I was in the CT machine, yeah, all of a sudden my eyesight went, and then my hearing not long after that, and then yeah, I don't know. To this day, I can't explain in any logical sense the experience, but I knew I was going to die. And then, yeah, next thing I know, my hearing came back. I was able to see, and there was uh, two guys at the end of the bed with cell packs with a main line into my feet, wringing them out like rags, trying to get blood into me. So they ended up getting it stopped, and there was a lot of other stuff that happened too. It was a bloody miracle that I made it because I almost didn't get picked up to get surgery done. I got up there, and Dr. Beekman was my surgeon, caught on me, and then I wasn't too sure if I was going to wake up, but luckily I did. I think around 7 or 8 a.m. in the morning, and yeah, I see my wife and my sister sitting there in the room, and it was a pleasant sight for sure.
And then but you didn't compete at the CFR obviously that year. Did you come back? I can't remember.
No, yeah, Beekman said I couldn't make it because that happened August 2nd, which I think was pretty reasonable.
Right.
But with the extent of everything that happened to me, but we just made a conscious decision that we're going to rehab as hard as we could within the boundaries of safety. I had a really good nutritionist on hand that I work with year over year, Matt Cleary, and couldn't eat a lot, so everything was shakes and rice powder and protein, and just try to get as many calories in as I possibly could to try and put weight back on because I lost so much.
Right.
And yeah, that injury happened August 2nd, and I think I was cleared by Beekman in October. Run my first practice steers October 15th. Took it easy on the practice, but tried to stay as sharp as I could, and then competed at the CFR there in November.
Man, what was the feeling riding into the arena at the CFR there, man? Like that had to be been such a so many emotions, hey?
Yeah, I'd say I was pretty euphoric. It was a long journey there, and we had a real hard time after that. Like I did suffer from some real severe PTSD after that wreck, which I talked to some great people that helped me get through that, and just got my mind kind of pointed towards the future. And then when it actually came, I was actually able to be there, and I run that first steer in that arena and caught a check. I was just like, you know what, this is, yeah, kind of, it was that, you walk through hell and you make it to the other side kind of deal. And, if there's a highlight of my career, I'd say that's definitely one of them for sure.
Crazy. Like it's like I said, every time I hear it, it just blows my mind. And yeah, like thanks for sharing that. That's it's wild. Couple more things I want to touch on before I let you go here. You mentioned the mental health side of it. Like that's not a topic we really cover too often, but like we should be having that conversation more. So it's like, well, yeah, like, are you still like, what do you even to this day, are you still like emphasizing taking care of mental health or like like what can you say about how important that is for a rodeo athlete or just a person in general?
Oh, like I still practice some techniques pretty much every single day. And a lot of the things that I utilized when I was going through, the aftermath of that wreck, I still use to this day, getting ready for competition. And it's definitely a game changer. There's a reason that every single, professional sports team has a sports psychologist on
Mhm.
staff. And there's I until you actually start working with these people, the working through the psychological side of the sport, it can make a huge difference. And I know a lot of people are using it now.
Mhm.
So that's from a performance perspective, but just for mental health, I got just a really basic way of explaining it. You break a leg, you crack your head, you're gonna go see a doctor, right? Because they got the tools. Mental health is the exact same way. I do believe there is something to be said about, being tough and working through things, but there's certain things that come up in a person's life and you're not equipped to deal with on your own. It's going to be a hard time. There's always a good chance you're going to make your way through it, but you know, life is long and you're going to run into these things, and sometimes tragic stuff can happen. Well, tragedy will find you at some point in time. And, in these cases, it's good to find, the professionals, the doctors
Mhm.
that will give you the tools to get healthy again. And so I'm a big advocate for it. I have been, I still am today. And I got involved with Porchlight Society too, which is,
Yeah, that's good stuff.
yeah, really good deal. An ambassador for them. There's actually a few of us Cowboys that are involved with them. And yeah, it's a good thing to showcase, and it's a good thing that people need to be aware of, know that those tools and resources are there for them. If they do find themselves in a bind, then they've got a helping hand if they need it.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, two more before I let you go. What aside from yourself, who's maybe a dark horse to watch in the steer wrestling this year in Pro Rodeo Canada?
You know what? The top line guys are just so darn established. You're going to see them every single year. But you know what? I think, like Chase to Catch is kind of a guy that I've been watching here the last few years, and I think he's one he's kind of like Clay Guthrie was. Like Clay, really nice kid, got into pros, got on his permit, and then all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, that kid just goes to dominating. But Chase is one name, but there's a variety of these young guys there that are going now, and I mean they've got a little taste for blood, and I think they're going to make all of us old guys work for it a little bit. So it's good to see. We got a lot of really good competitors in this event, and what it's going to be here at the CFR. It's hard to say who are going to be those guys who are going to break in for their very first time, but it's going to be exciting to watch.
How motivating is it for you and your kind of the veterans of the group to have these kind of young guys pushing you along? Is it kind of add a little fuel to the fire, or what? How does that look?
No, it's always good.
Yeah.
You always want hungrier people coming into the sport that want to win because it keeps old guys honest, and we want to make sure that we're always, on the top of our game. And when you got guys coming to take your money, I mean, there's no better motivator out there. And, more importantly than that, there's a bunch of us that are going to expire here at some point in time. And, you want to make sure that you got another generation coming up behind you. Your next generation of Blaine Petersons and Mark Roys and the Butterfield boys, Cassidy's, you want the next group to come and keep that legacy that we have. Just speaking specifically to bulldogging, but it goes everywhere. You want to make sure that, we have somebody to carry that torch and carry it into the future.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, last one, buddy. Okay, looking at it from the president perspective or the contestant perspective, what's something you're maybe really looking forward to in the 2026 season, or something that's kind of got you fired up?
From a competitor perspective, I'm just looking forward to just living every single rodeo in the moment and just drinking this up because, when you're at the end of your career, I think you take a lot of your years, the experiences for granted. I don't think a lot of us took rodeo for granted. I know I damn sure didn't, but I know a lot of those experiences, it's been a blur, the amount of rodeos that we've gone to. So I'm just looking forward to going every single one, just really drinking it up, win, lose, or draw. I'm going to enjoy it and go out with the boys, have some fun, and, try and make a CFR. Now, from the position as the president of the CPRA, the board, we've got some really good people on the board here right now. We've been in contact already quite a bit, and I think we've got a lot of alignment, and we're looking towards the future. I think, Denny and the committee have done a good job, from my understanding, of getting things in place with the CFR, which is going to be exciting to see, and hopefully we'll have something announced in the not too distant future. But just the direction of the association as a whole, I just want to make sure that, we put a plan in place and the future is going to be exciting and get something long term that every single new member of this board can get behind and be excited about supporting.
Yeah, man, I couldn't agree more, and I'm excited to see what you do on both in and out of the arena, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to having you part of the CPRA team and catching it down the road this summer, man. It's gonna be great.
No, I appreciate it there, Wacey. I'm looking forward to it too.
Right on, buddy. Okay, cool. Well, we'll leave it there, and we'll be back with a short round right after this. Welcome back to the program, everyone. Thanks again to Chance Butterfield for taking the time to sit down and chat with us. It's good to hear what he's got on the go and how he's raring to go to get things moving up there in the CPRA and with the CPRA board. So it'll be exciting to watch his journey and how that all shakes out for him. All right, Clay, we missed something in the top half of the show that you wanted to mention. I'll let you take it from here.
We spoke a little bit about how Cold Lakes tried different events and again collaborating with CPRA to grow this bronc riding and into what seems like it's really starting to take off. And I wanted to acknowledge that this is the first year that the crew from the Brule bronc riding there decided to collaborate with the CPRA as well. It really kind of started out with a former bronc rider, Cole Vinson, that really just a great friend that essentially after Lane Cust had been a bronc rider that I got to see kind of take off in his career at the end of mine. Unfortunately suffered a devastating injury that kind of ended his career before it really got to finish on his own terms. And I mean, this event kind of sprung up from that in terms of the Lane Cust Foundation and this was a good fundraiser for it and just a good way to get bronc riders together, and it really grew to be something that this was the logical next step. And I just, yeah, it was one that kind of caught me off guard. I didn't even know it was CPRA approved until the draw came
Oh
out, kind of
yeah.
thing. Uh, but just awesome to see, and yeah, we're seeing these events that maybe started out on kind of that independent
Mhm.
basis, because then you get to do it on your own terms.
Yeah.
But as I mentioned, just that logical next step of, we're doing something. I mean, that's where Wildwood got its start, right?
Yep.
It was a kind of an invitational deal and everything, but got to a point where it it made sense there. And alongside of that, just a quick note on Drayton Valley making that jump. I mean, that rodeo was essentially what kicked off the ability for the Duffy family to get their
Yeah.
CPRA card, along with the Medicine Lodge Pro Rodeo. And I mean, that rodeo, I mean, they were a few tickets short of three straight sellouts in Drayton Valley this year. So
Wow.
just great to see.
Mhm. Yeah, it's awesome, man, to see, like you said, the growth of these events and the kind of the grassroots of Canadian Pro Rodeo. Just that's kind of the how the evolution of it all. You start these smaller events, just continue to grow and get more contestants, get more support from the community, and you grow into big events, which is good. It's kind of the lifeblood of what we do over here at the Canadian Pro Rodeo Association. So that's a good call out. Okay, on a bit more of a somber note, Clay, between our last show and now, um, really important person in Canadian Pro Rodeo and in for the Dawson Creek exhibition committee. Connie Patterson passed away. She was awarded the 2024 Committee Person of the Year award. Has been instrumental and been around Dawson Creek Pro Rodeo for a long time, and I know she touched a lot of people in and outside of the rodeo community and up there in Dawson Creek, and she's gonna be greatly missed. That's a tough one.
For sure. And that's the one thing you look at whenever somebody in the CPRA wins the committee person of the year,
Hmm.
it's not just because, well, they put on one great rodeo. It essentially is a lifetime achievement recognition, right?
Hmm.
Something that they've put together just this incredible body of work. and
Yeah.
and I mean, alongside of the loss of Terry Cook here last year and everything, I mean, Connie Patterson there, she's right alongside of that in
Mhm.
terms of just the sheer power and magnitude of what she's been to that
Oh
organization in
yeah.
that area. And so yeah, it's a tough loss. We're
Mhm.
definitely thinking of all of those people, and I have no doubt that she's definitely played a role in helping those come up and feel capable of
Mhm.
taking on a role to really kind of take the reins and keep going what they've had
100%.
going, but it's still a huge loss.
Tough one. And I think one thing that I know a lot of people close to rodeo and contestants and stuff know is that uh, these committee jobs sorry, excuse me, these committee jobs are volunteer. Like a lot of these people spend their own time, their own money, their own stuff just to be part of these events and help them grow and do all these things. So it takes a pretty selfless person to commit that amount of time to a rodeo event. I was working with Coy Robbins this past week on his bull riding, and he said it a few times over the past couple of years. He said he thinks that every contestant or bull rider or whatever should take the time and put on their own event just so you realize how much work goes into gathering up sponsors and making sure your dirt arrives on time, getting volunteers to work the back pens or crack latches or whatever it may be. It's not an easy job, and a lot of these committee folks do it out of the goodness of their own hearts because they love the sport and want to see the sport grow. So, um, Connie was kind of the embodiment of that. So it's like you said, it's a tough one. Our thoughts are with everybody near and close to her and in the rodeo community up there in Dawson Creek. But let's move along, Clay. We are approaching the May long weekend, which is always a fun one. Living in Western Canada, rodeoing in Western Canada, I know it's. I never rule out snow in Calgary or the Calgary area or Alberta until after May long into June. Like I wouldn't be. It's not surprising to see that kind of stuff, but crazy weather is never a surprise this time of year.
Nope. And when you're going to venture out to Falkland, Again, we talked before the show. This picture back here was my first trip to Falkland. It
Mhm.
ended up being a ride that filled my CPRA full card. But I can remember my brother and I when we went to go out there, and it's that same stretch of road there between Golden and Revelstoke that every
Oh,
May long
Rogers
weekend
Pass,
there's the
man.
slides.
Oh,
And so we were detouring and figuring out which way you gotta go. Do you gotta go Crow's Nest past? I mean, we went up through Jasper and then came down, everything like that. Because when we left home, it was closed and then it was open, and you're always just worrying about that end of things. And it's but despite the fact that we no longer have Luxton
mhm.
Pro Rodeo, which was an incredible event for a
Awesome
long
place,
time to
man. That was a
go to.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean Cloverdale does still take place for the rough stock and the barrel racing event there, but you can't sleep on Falkland
No.
Stampede. That community, I mean it's a one road town. I mean, when you're in BC, that's the way a lot of them are. You got
Mhm.
one road in and out because the mountains make it a little tricky to spread out like you
Oh
do in
yeah.
Alberta, but that town gets behind that rodeo, and they've gotten to a place again. You see a lot of these little rodeos that have found their way to grow and become something even greater than they already were,
Mhm.
which
Mhm.
is great to see. Like the contestants, they make that trip.
Oh yeah.
It's worth it for a lot of people to go out there, even if that is going to be the only one you get to,
Mhm.
and
It's one of the
it's
coolest rodeos around
definitely
here,
a
man. It's awesome. Like just the whole atmosphere, being in the mountains in the Okanagan. Weather's beautiful for the most part. You might get some rain, but that's fine. But the stands are always packed. Like it's standing room only most places. Like it's just a such a cool environment, and they do a good job on the production. Moxes bring good stock. It's yeah, it's one of the coolest events on the schedule the whole year, and 106th annual, so it makes it one of the oldest rodeos in Canada. So it's gonna be a fun weekend over there in BC.
Oh, absolutely. I think if I could fit it into my schedule, I'd try to get out there, but I can barely get off the place, and well, even if I started going one direction, they are calling for 100-kilometer-an-hour winds tomorrow. I'd probably just turn around and come home
Oh
anyway.
yeah, exactly. Well, you
So
hope that the wind's blowing west, so it just blows you through the mountains, but you know that's not the
yeah,
case going
yeah,
on.
but no,
Yeah.
it's
It's gonna be fun, and it's gonna be live on the Cowboy Channel Plus app. So if you want to follow along, if you can't be there, may as well watch on the Cowboy Channel, have a look, and see how things shake out. I was looking at the draw before we hopped on here, and there's a pretty stacked list of contestants. So it's gonna be a fun weekend out there in Falkland.
Yeah, they definitely got full performances.
Mhm.
I mean, sometimes you might look at some of these smaller ones and you think, oh, they're some people aren't going to it or whatever, but they got full perfs in every event and every day, and so that's awesome to see and everything. So
It's
I
gonna be
think we
fun,
got a
buddy.
few. Yeah, I think we got a few Canadians south of the border. Is the American on this weekend as well?
The American is next. That is the 23rd, 22nd of
Okay. Yeah.
May. So we still got a week in between, but we got a good roster of Canadians sent down there. We can touch on it. I guess maybe we can get together before then and record another show. But maybe we can get together after and see how our Canadians do. Hopefully, one of those guys can get her done because I think a few of them are in the mix for the 2 million too.
Hmm.
Like some of those guys just went through the qualifier, so it could end up being a big payday for some, and not just the Canadians, but anybody who steps up and makes a win there. It'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, for sure. I think we also had Blake Molly there, and the
Hmm.
barrel racing qualified out of Vegas, and so there was quite a few of our bronc riders again. We
Yep, and
they
then
keep
there's a
popping
couple
up
of bull
on
riders
but
too, because like Jeremy Mason have made it through,
yeah.
and Jaden Roy. So Jaden Roy, that's another kid from Quebec who's tearing it up on both sides of the line. He finished second at the Brandon PBR Canada Cup event, so he's Quebec man. They're pumping out some good bull riders.
And it was interesting in my youth. We had kind of the French connection and the bareback riding,
Yeah, yeah.
and obviously Spur Lacasse is the second generation. I can still remember going out to Abbotsford Rodeo as a little steer rider, and I had Roger Lacasse helping me get on this steer, and I remember he's like, "Okay, you take a deep breath." And then you take another one, and then you nod your head, okay? Like he just just a great guy, and the passion for the
Hmm.
sport and everything that has passed on. And I mean that Jeremy, yeah,
He's
that
a
kid,
he's a killer, man.
he's a real deal.
Yeah.
And yeah, if he's bringing guys with him, I mean you travel in at least a pair. Gosh, you're able to take on the
Oh
world, so
yeah.
it'll be cool to see.
It was fun. It was cool. There's a cool moment, or just like had a cool kind of just like realization or whatever you want to call it. Oh, in cameras at the PBR there, they rode like 5 bulls in the short rounds, like one of the better bull ridings you'll go to. But it was funny because it was kind of like a changing of the guard feeling almost, where you had Grady Young, 19 years old, 20 years old, a couple times the CFR now, kind of one of the another hotshot kid, and Jeremy duking it out, going head to head, and they both smashed out like 88 and whatever change point bull rides, and it's just like, dang, these kids are here and they're not messing around, man.
Yeah, no, for sure. I saw the clip there when they were picking bulls for that PBR. I think maybe it was in
Brandon,
Brandon,
yeah. Mm.
and they asked him which one you taking. Well, I'm taking this one because you know what? He bucked me off, and it ain't gonna happen again. And I mean,
He
he
got
did
it
it
done.
like that's and I can admire, and I mean rodeo takes that confidence. The sport does, right? I mean sometimes people will misconstrue that as arrogance or
Yeah,
anything
yeah.
like that. But you know what? When you're fighting against them bulls, if you're not coming into that with at least
You gotta have
some
some
belief
sort,
that you're
yeah,
gonna do it,
100%. Yeah. As in
you're
any
never
any
gonna
of
get
those
there.
any of the events, if you're not
So,
gonna believe in yourself, other people aren't gonna do it for you. You gotta come
yep,
in there and be confident. It's
yep.
it's it's a it's, yeah, it's kind of a fine, it's not even really a fine line between confident and cocky. I think it's just the way it's perceived and the way you act. It's like, and a guy like Jeremy
Oh,
back it up, right? Like it's crazy.
yeah, I think Kid Rock said it that way, didn't he?
Yeah, 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 exactly. Yeah.
And but yeah, and it is all it's you know what? Even if somebody wants to think that, that's them,
That's their
right?
own
You
thing.
know,
Yeah, exactly.
that's you're not the one getting on those bulls day in and
No,
day out. I'm not. I'm
no, heck
definitely
no.
not doing that.
No, dude. I
And
was
but
I see some of those guys get bucked off, and does not look fun. Oh, I wanted to do one last shout out before we wrap it up here though. Brett Manya got in a bit of a wreck at Camrose and cut his leg open, and gonna be sidelined for a little bit, which is tough news. Brett's one of the best going down the road, and it's always you always feel a little bit better when you're standing in the arena with Brett Manya having your back. And I don't know if he's listening to this, but anyways, we're thinking of you, Bretty. Hope you get a speedy recovery, man. It was a gnarly one. But all right, Clay, I think that's gonna do it for this week's show. Thanks for making it work, and we'll chat again really soon.
you bet. No, that's good. And when I mentioned with the Chance Butterfield, no going back to high school rodeo, Brett Monnier was another guy that I mean that
Mhm.
was known him since those high school rodeo days, and yeah, I mean what him and his wife done for the sport for I really like what they got going with a lot of their bullfighting kind of events that they're promoting and teaching and stuff these days. So no, it's tough when that happens in the arena, and hoping for the best for him.
Yeah, yeah, you betcha. All right, Clay. Well, let's leave it there, and we'll catch up very soon. This has been episode 49 of the short round.